Hey, welcome back to Common Knowledge, the show where I take a look at 10 common Magic the Gathering cards and I tell you if they are good in the Pauper format or not. And then I usually do 11th and sometimes maybe even a 12th. But let's get started with number one today, which is Talus Scout, which is a 1 and a blue for a 1/2 human pirate scout, and it flies. That's it from Portal Second Age, only from Portal Second Age. I think I own one of these cards. It's just funny to see sometimes. Yeah, vanilla, French vanilla, I suppose. French vanilla 2 mana 1/2. Nah, nah, I'm good. I don't think you need to put that in a deck. So maybe you could just go with like a 1.6 or something. It flies. Flies and it's 2 mana. It blocks a decent amount of stuff. I don't know. It's okay, but it doesn't go in a deck, right? Probably a cool cube card, though. Elven Cash is 2 and double green for a sorcery. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Rebecca Gayart. I love that. This is not great. We have other cards that do this, right? In Pauper, though, do we have other cards that do this in Pauper? Because, like, Regrowth. Yeah, Regrowth is all, yeah, no, not legal in Pauper for Regrowth. So, and then Eternal Witness is also uncommon. Oh, yeah, there's, how many R's are in the word Eternal? Yeah, Eternal Witness not legal in Pauper either. So yeah, I guess this might be the cheapest way to get this kind of effect in Pauper. It's not good. Art's the best part of it. In fact, I'm probably actually gonna buy myself a copy. I've got Mana Pool pulled up over here. Let's go for Elven Cash, and I might put that in like a cube or something. Yeah, this Portal, original Portal art, 20 cents. 20 cents for that Portal art on Mana Pool. Yeah, not a very good card. pretty obviously not a very good card. Power Creep has definitely passed this one by. Originally from Visions, which has fine art, but it's not this. What the hell's this? Yeah, some Chinese specific art. Interesting. Okay. What do you give it though? What do you give it? This is kind of a cool effect to go and just grab any card out of the graveyard and put it in your hand. You can do all sorts of cool mill stuff with it and bring it back, dredge stuff with it and bring it back. The problem with most of the dredge cards is that if you dredge this into your graveyard, it doesn't help you at all. And that's a bummer. But the biggest problem here is 4 mana. 4 mana is just an incredible amount of mana for a not incredible ability here. Let's go with a 1.7, just slightly better than that Scout. And that's almost all mana cost right there. Bellows Lizard is a single red mana for a 1/1 lizard. For 1 and a red, this creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. So it's got fire breathing, but it costs double what regular fire breathing costs. That's not very good, is it? I mean, ideally, you put this on the table on turn 1. Your opponent doesn't have a turn 1 play. On turn 2, you pump this thing's power up and hit him for 2. And then what? It's not very good, right? It's just think of how much worse this is than a Savannah Lions. And I know it's in red, so you take that into consideration, but Savannah Lions would come down on 1. On turn 2, it swings in for 2, which is exactly what this could do, except you didn't spend any mana to do it. You can still forward your board state with Savannah Lions on the board. And this guy, you can't. You are paying that. You're paying 3 mana at that point to do 2 damage to them on 1 turn. That's bad. This is a bad card. I will give this a 1.3. I think it's quite bad. Inspiring Overseer. Have we done? We haven't done this one before, but I just somewhat recently talked about this as one of my favorite Pauper cards of all time. It was in my 9 Pauper cards that made me video. I guess I'll link that in the description here, so you can go check that out. But yeah, go check that one out. That was a really cool video. A lot of fun to do. I love this card. I have an outsized love for this card, more than it deserves, I think. But it still works well in a couple of different shells. I play a single copy in my Orzhov Blade deck. It used to be, I think, 3 copies at one point, and then that deck just got faster and faster and faster, and a 3-mana 2/1 flyer isn't good enough for it. Let's read the card. 2 and a white for a 2/1 Angel Cleric. It's got flying, and when this creature enters, you gain a life and you draw a card. Those are all very nice things. You know, it's an angel, which can matter in some. There is an angel Pauper deck that is possible. I'm not going to say it's amazing, but it's possible. Cleric is a pretty useful creature type for some things. Even in Pauper, Cleric can be useful. It flies. It's 2/1. That's pretty good power for a flyer. And then the enters ability, gain a life and draw a card. Those are really nice things. All sorts of decks might want these kinds of effects. Now, is this a little expensive for... Here's the problem. It does all those things. It's like a jack of all trades, but it's kind of a master of none. And when you're thinking, oh, I've got 3 mana, and in most decks, 3 mana is going to let you put down some big engine thing, like something that really forwards your game plan. And does this really forward your game plan, or does it help you get to something that might further your game plan? That it's kind of the second one. So it's not a particularly amazing card. You know, in my Orzhov Blade list, the idea is that you might bounce this back with Core Skyfisher, and then you can play it again and draw another card and gain another life. But that's a lot of mana you're putting on the board at that point. You know, you could do stuff with Ephemerate and blink this. But are you blinking this, or are you blinking a Mole Drifter? Mole Drifter draws you a lot more cards, and it's a 2/2 body instead of a 2/1. That's just, Mole Drifter's just better in a lot of ways. And sure, you have to splash a second color, or be in a second color, but it's worth it. It's just worth it. So this card, I think, has, for the most part, fallen out of Pauper playability, and yet I love it. I love this art. I love these aqua and purple wings that she's got going on here. I have a huge love for this card, and I want to give it something good. I'm gonna give it a 5.1, because I think you could still put it in decks. I've seen some decks still use it, whether it's the Angels deck, whether it's the Orzhov Blade deck, some other ones that fringe, super fringe playable, but I do love it. I do love it quite a bit. And I wish more people would play it. I wish we could get back to a Pauper format where this was a good card, and not one where we go, ugh, it's almost good. Yeah, 5.1, and it hurts me. Hurts me to give it such a low score in my mind. I think it deserves much higher. Electrocute is 1 and a red for an instant. Electrocute deals 2 damage to any target. You may cast this card from your graveyard as long as you rolled a 6 this turn. If you cast it this way, and it would be put into your graveyard, you exile it instead. So it's kind of got flashback. This is an Unfinity card, but it's legal. No Acorn here, so this is legal to play in various formats, including Pauper. So you got 2 mana for a shock that can then be flashed back without the word flashback on it, but only if you've rolled a 6. How many rolling dice cards are there in Pauper that are actually playable? I really don't know. It can't be that many. And even if there are you really playing a 2-mana shock that you can play a second time? No, you're not. Because again, this is the format with Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning and so many other solid burn spells that already do plenty of stuff. You need to do damage to creatures, you have Scred or Galvanic Discharge or Galvanic Blast. Tons of things that you can do that way. If you need to do just straight players, you have Lava Spike. There's so many red burn cards that will do what you're looking for here and do it more efficiently than this. Even like Lightning Strike, which is 2 mana for 3 damage. You know, a strictly worse Lightning Bolt, I would say is probably better than this. Yeah, you get 4 damage over time, but you had to spend 4 mana on that, and you also had to have a condition to do it the second time. And I just don't think that's very good. Maybe there's a bunch of dice cards out there that I am just not familiar with and haven't seen, and somebody uses this to great effect. But I have a feeling that this is just a bad card. And as such, I'm going to end up giving it a 1.4. Yep, 1.4. Next on the docket is Phyrexian Atlas. For 3 mana, you get an artifact that taps for 1 mana of any color. And it also has Corrupted. Whenever this artifact becomes tapped, each opponent who has 3 or more poison counters loses 1 life. That's bad. That's really bad. 1, it's a 3 mana rock, which is already pretty darn slow. And 2, the Corrupted ability is interesting, and there are some cards with Corrupted that are really, really good. You'll see this in some Poison Storm lists. Not this card, but you'll see some cards with Corrupted in Poison Storm lists. Cards like Bring the Ending, which is a counter spell that is conditional if it's not corrupted, but is unconditional if it is corrupted, if the opponent is corrupted. And that's pretty cool. You have the, oh goodness, what's it called? The removal spell that removes, it's a black removal spell, 1 and a black, and it removes, exiles a creature power, like that's mana value 3 or less. But if it's corrupted, it just takes anything. And anoint with affliction. That's what it is. Anoint with affliction. Yes, there we go. Hey, look at me. No one thinks. So there are a couple corrupted cards that are pretty good. This one though, think about why you're using this. If you are playing a deck where you're giving the opponent poison counters, you're probably looking to kill them with poison counters, like using poison, using infect, using toxic, whatever, to give them poison counters, get them to 10 and kill them. This card says once you have them corrupted, once they already have 3 counters on them, that's the 3 or more poison counters. Now when you tap this thing, they lose a life. Well, their life total's 20. You already have them 3/10 of the way from being dead through poison damage, and now you're going for their life total? Why? What does that do? What does that do for you? That's terrible. That's terrible. So you almost discount this thing completely, and you just go, okay, well, it's a 3 mana rock. We have plenty of those, and those have gravy on them that do way more than this for you. This card's bad. This card's really bad. I'm going to give it a 1.2. No, I'm going to give it a 1.1. It's really that bad. It's a terrible card. It looks cool, but it's a bad card. Battleground Geist is 4 and a blue for a 3/3 spirit. It's got flying, and other spirits you control get +1/+0. That's kind of nice. Kind of nice. There's plenty. How many? Let's take a guess here. How many spirit cards, spirit creatures? Yeah, let's specify spirit creatures, which probably only takes away things like crib swap and stuff like that. But yeah, how many spirit creatures do you think are legal in the Pauper format? It's going to be a bunch. It's going to be a ton. Is it going to be over? I'll put the over under at 300. Do you think it's going to be more or less than 300? I think it's going to be maybe just a little bit less. I think it's going to be closer to something like 275, 250. Ooh, 215. Interesting. It's still, that's a lot. That is a ton. And there are some pretty good spirits too. This is not a very scientific way of doing it, but let's go to EDH Rec. Your Simian Spirit Guide. Oh, your Drift of Phantasms, that's pretty good. Tormented Soul can be really nice to get through unblockable. This guy starts as a human cleric, but he turns into a spirit later. He gets used sometimes too. Another unblockable guy. Kamis, yeah, you'll see plenty of Kamigawa creatures in here. Like, they'd probably be much further down the list, but this guy's just a general fog. That's pretty good. Some night shenanigans, stuff like that. There's stuff. There's stuff that you can do to make an interesting kind of spirits deck. Zuberas are a thing that you can do in Pauper as well. So there are plenty of spirits out there. And the question is this guy good enough to go into a deck with a bunch of spirits? He is a 3/3 flyer, which is better than a lot of a lot of blue creatures can say. That's okay. 5 mana does hurt it quite a bit. This is not as impactful for 5 mana as you probably want. But it is something that if you're playing a bunch of spirits or able to make a bunch of spirit tokens, we got Avatar had a bunch of spirit tokens that flew but can only block creatures with flying. This would pump all of them up. Spirits are pretty common in the Pauper format, so something that buffs them all is interesting. It is interesting. I'm not going to give this a great score, but I'm going to give this a score of if there was a halfway decent spirits deck in Pauper, would this guy really go into it? How much impact would he really have? And I think in that case, I'm going to give this something like a 2.6. Because we'll see. This is a card that could grow with time. That the more good spirits we get, the more possible that a spirit tribal Pauper deck is a thing, and this becomes better and better each time. Now, while it gets better and better, it might also get priced out. We might find just better spirits that would make this thing obsolete. But for now, I think we can give it a 2.6 and say interesting card, and also downshifted. So they started pretty good, right? Next card is Shield Sphere. Oh, I love Shield Sphere. For 0 mana, this is a free spell. You get an artifact creature wall with Defender. It's a 0/6. 0/6 for free? And whenever this creature blocks, you put a -0/-1 counter on it. So it blocks. Now it goes down to a 5 toughness creature, and then down to a 4 and 3 and 2 and 1 and 0. More importantly, this is a 0 mana creature. You could just play this on turn 1 with or without a land in your hand. That's pretty cool. We see some other 0 mana creatures or 0 mana spells that you play in Pauper. Your Ornithopters, your Kobolds of Carekeep. Those things are available to you to play. And if you have a deck that is like the Salt Road Pack Beast, that white camel creature. It has affinity for creatures, so it can come down. You put a bunch of creatures out early, and then you can put that thing out, and it's like a 4/3 that draws you a card when it comes into play. That's pretty cool. You've got, if you're doing this and Ornithopters, that's 8 turn 1 creatures you put out on the board that are all artifacts. So then you can also play you could. Well, I guess you can't because you wouldn't have enough cards in your starting hand to do it. But the idea that you could play, well, actually, I guess you could. You play Darksteel Citadel, turn 1. That's an artifact land. You play 4 Shield Spheres. Put those all on the board. Now you have 5 artifacts out of 5 cards. Yeah, 5 cards, 5 artifacts. Then you play 1 Ornithopter. So now you have 6 artifacts in 6 cards. And one of those is a land, so you can tap the land for 1 mana, and you can play your Mirror Enforcer with your last card. Turn 1, you'd get 4 0/6s, a 0/2, or 4 0/6s, a 0/2, and a 4/4. And you've dumped out your entire hand. You're good. You're golden. And then the next turn, you probably draw another Mirror Enforcer, right? And then you can play that one for free. That doesn't happen. But the idea that 0 mana is really important. zero mana can make a big difference. Just having free spells that you can play. This can potentially trigger stuff that you have. Whether you need a non-token creature coming onto the board, that can help this. Maybe you have one of those. I guess you could put this. I mean, you wouldn't put this in Spy, but the idea that you can have some of those walls that say, "Oh, it taps for as much mana as you have creatures with Defender." This is 4 free creatures with Defender that you can just put on the board, and that potentially it just pays you back. It doesn't even pay you back; it pays you more. These were free. That's interesting. It's an interesting thought. I think it's worth considering for some of your decks that are using those things. What is that like? There's a couple of them, but like Axebane Guardian. Axebane Guardian. Add X mana in any combination of colors where X is the number of creatures you control with Defender. Imagine you just put out four Shield Spheres. This guy already taps for 5 in any combination of colors. You can tap Wooburg with this guy. That's kind of nuts. I have not seen lists with this. I haven't seen anybody really play it. But you could, and you can see its power right away. I'm going to give this thing a 4.8. Free spells, man. Free spells. They go up on the list because you can find something to do with a free spell. You can find ways of breaking that and making it really cool. And then if you're doing other stuff with like wall combos or Axebane Guardians like we showed off, this thing can go kind of nuts. Maybe it has to be perfect to do it, but it has the potential to go nuts. That's awesome. Cool card. Spirit Link. Hey, here is a Pauper staple. Staple might be a little strong, but it is a card that gets used in Pauper a halfway decent amount, mostly in 2 decks, the White Heroic decks and the Bogles decks. Spirit Link is a single white mana for an enchantment aura that enchants a creature, and whenever enchanted creature deals damage, you gain that much life. So it's, we've shown Armadillo Cloak before. This is just half of the Armadillo Cloak. It doesn't give the trample or the +2/+2, but it does this. This is different than Lifelink. So there's another spell called Lifelink that gives Lifelink to a creature. And if you could, these can stack. You can have Lifelink and this, and you would gain the life twice. Because this is a triggered ability, and Lifelink is just a static ability that doesn't use the stack. So you just gain the life when things deal the damage, and this one has to actually go on the stack to do that. So there can be some timing restriction stuff with that. There can be ways of killing somebody before this ability goes on the stack, and they don't gain the life because they're dead. Anyway, this is still an extremely good card. Single mana to potentially gain you a lot of life over the course of a game. If you put it on the right creature, if you put it on something big that comes in and just deals damage, what are they going to do? Spirit Link's a cool card. It's really nice. I like it. You'll see it. You'll see like maybe a copy in main boards and Bogle's decks, or maybe a couple copies in White Heroic. Sometimes you'll see it in the sideboard of a deck that uses white, some kind of shell that uses white that potentially has a big creature out on the board. Is there such a thing as an Azorius terror deck? Not that I've seen, but if you made one, putting a Spirit Link on a Solarian Terror sounds like a pretty good idea to me. That seems pretty solid. Maybe you wouldn't do that because, again, you want instants and sorceries, so having enchantments to make Spirit Link work. But anyway, Spirit Link's a good card. It is a good card. I'm going to give it a 5.8. We've seen some good cards today. Pegasus Courser is 2 and a white for a 1/3 Pegasus with flying, and whenever this creature attacks, another target attacking creature gains flying until end of turn. We see a lot of these kinds of abilities, and I think it's probably a slept-on ability. I think this probably is actually pretty decent, and yet doesn't really see any play. This creature certainly doesn't see any play, but I think even this effect doesn't even really see much of any play. It's pretty easy just to remove this guy, and then you've lost the ability to give things flying. If this guy's enabling something else to get flying, it's not very useful that this thing has flying itself. Outside of you can attack with it a little bit more freely than something on the ground that might be able to be blocked and killed, and then you wouldn't be able to get this effect on the next turn. It's fine. 1/3 in the air blocks a lot of fairies and stuff like that, but it also costs you 3 mana to put on the board. That's quite a bit. What white deck is willing to pay 3 mana for this effect? I don't think there are a ton, because there's just better things you can do in white. You can play a lot more creatures for 3 mana than just this one guy. And a lot of white decks would prefer to go wide. I'm gonna give it a 2.7, I guess. It's still pretty okay. But yeah, I don't think it goes any further than just okay. Bonus card. It is Impaler Shrike for 2 and double blue. You get a 3/1 Phyrexian bird with flying. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice it. If you do, draw 3 cards. 3 cards is a lot of cards. It's a lot of cards. 4 mana for a 3/1 is, I guess that's okay in blue. Again, it's easy to be picked off. Very easy for somebody to use End the Festivities and take this out and maybe a couple other creatures on your board, and then you're not happy because you spent 4 mana on something that's dead. You just kind of wasted 4 mana. And it does suck that this thing has to sacrifice itself so you don't get the opportunity to keep using it. But in some ways, it's almost like it's kind of like a reverse thieving magpie. Look at this thing. It's 3/1 flying, and when it deals combat damage, you draw cards. Now, it has to kill itself to do that, but also it's 2 and double blue. And what if I put in Thieving Magpie? 2 and a blue, it's a 1/3, so it's an inverse. It flies, and whenever it deals damage to an opponent, you draw a card. So this is like, what if you just got a burst of Thieving Magpie all at once? That's kind of fun. But yeah, if the opponent even plays a single fairy, you can't go in with this, because it'll just get blocked, and then you won't get the cards. It'll just die anyway. Having to do the combat damage is pretty rough. It's got great art. Good job, Niels Ham. But pretty expensive. 1 toughness. Kind of just like a really bad sorcery, because you really only get the effect once, and then it dies. Although you can use some of those black effects that will, when this creature dies, bring it back to the battlefield, and maybe that's a way of getting even more cards out of this. Or you put like a bequeathal on it, and now it'll hit the opponent for 3, sacrifice itself. You draw 3 cards from this. You draw another 2 from the bequeathal. Now you're drawing 5 cards. That's kind of cool. Like, the upside is there. You can see the upside, but the downside is just so apparent, and it's that 1 toughness that is really the problem. I'm gonna give it a 2. I'm gonna give it a 2.4, and it's probably more than it deserves. But I think it's mostly just for the potential upside, because that potential upside is huge. Drawing 3 cards, incredible. that's really good. That's the Lorien revealed right there. So yeah, drawing 3 cards is great, and you can do this technically cheaper than a Lorien revealed, but it's also got a lot more drawbacks than a Lorien revealed does. All right, that is our time today, but we will catch you next time on Common Knowledge. See ya.